The night started like any other. Calm winds brushed across the quiet cities of Earth. Children slept. Lights blinked on distant towers. The world was at peace, finally, after so many years of struggle and war. Humanity had built something close to harmony. Then, at 2:13 a.m. UTC, the sky broke open. It didn't happen slowly. There was no warning, no message, no sound. 1 second, the stars shimmered above. The next, the stars moved. They shifted, bent, and tore apart as massive shadows emerged from the void. Hundreds of alien ships, black as night, larger than mountains, appeared above every major city on Earth. New York, Tokyo, Moscow, Karachi, London, everywhere at once. Panic spread instantly. Governments tried to make contact. Satellites sent endless signals, but no one replied. The ships hovered in silence, like ancient gods watching their prey. Then the first ship opened, not with light, not with weapons, but with darkness. A thick black mist poured out from the alien hull, alive, swirling, whispering. It flowed down through the clouds, across skyscrapers, through streets and windows. People screamed. Cameras caught everything. But the mist wasn't smoke. It was alive. When it touched the ground, it began to move. Shapes formed inside the darkness, creatures that didn't belong in any nightmare humans had ever known. Some crawled, some flew. Some simply dripped down walls like liquid shadows. Their bodies shifted with faces that looked human for a second, then didn't. They were the harvesters. The aliens hadn't come to conquer. They had come to feed. Within hours, the world fell apart. Armies fired missiles that passed right through the black clouds. The creatures didn't bleed. They didn't even slow down. They listened to screams, to terror, to the fear pouring from billions of hearts, and grew stronger. Governments collapsed. Cities turned silent. The world became a feeding ground. But amid the chaos, something strange began to happen. In a small hospital on the outskirts of London, a group of survivors huddled together. One of the monsters entered through the shattered ceiling, its body pulsing, eyes glowing like dying stars. The people screamed. Their fear filled the room like thick smoke. The creature trembled with pleasure. And then it screamed, not in victory, in pain. Its body started to burn, not with fire, but with light. The more terrified the people became, the brighter it glowed. Its body cracked open, and it vanished into dust. No one understood what they had seen. Across the world, the same thing happened again and again. Creatures collapsed mid-feed. Some exploded into black ash. Some simply melted away, as if their own power turned against them. It was as if humanity's emotions, fear, rage, grief, were too strong. The aliens had unleashed something designed to consume fear. But human fear wasn't just emotion. It was memory, history, survival. It carried wars, loss, hope, and defiance. And that made it poison. In orbit, the alien commanders observed everything. Their communication logs recorded pure confusion. Their creatures were not just failing, they were dying. The readings made no sense. The emotional energy of humans was beyond anything the galaxy had recorded. One alien scientist tried to explain it. These creatures feed on terror, he said. But the humans' fear, it's different. It fights back. They didn't understand that for humans, fear was not weakness. It was evolution. Every nightmare humanity had ever faced, war, hunger, extinction, death, had made them stronger, not weaker. The aliens thought they had found easy prey, but what they had unleashed wasn't fear. It was fire. As the first dawn rose over a burning Earth, the monsters retreated back into the shadows. Some vanished completely. Others hid in ruins, trembling, whispering strange sounds to each other. Humanity didn't know what was happening yet. People still thought the world was ending. But in the darkness above, the aliens knew the truth first. They had made a mistake. The species they thought would break was fighting back in a way they could not understand. Their greatest weapon, fear, was being turned against them. For the first time in galactic history, a predator had met something worse than itself. The alien ships began to pull back, rising higher into the upper atmosphere. But some stayed, desperate to study, to adapt, to understand how emotion could destroy flesh. And on Earth, among the smoking cities and broken streets, survivors started to realize something unbelievable. The creatures were afraid. The monsters that fed on terror now feared their own prey. No one knew what would happen next. But the universe had just changed forever, because humanity had always lived with nightmares. And if the aliens wanted to bring them to life, then humanity would show them what real nightmares looked like. The sun rose over a broken world. Once busy cities now stood in silence. No cars, no voices, no life. Only smoke and the distant echo of screams that had already faded into memory. The sky was still covered in that strange, dark mist. The alien ships had stopped moving, floating high above like silent tombs. Whatever they had unleashed now crawled through the ruins below. Commander Elias Ward moved carefully through the wreckage of New York City. His armor was scratched, his rifle low on power. Around him walked 5 survivors, 2 soldiers, a medic, a mechanic, and a young woman named Juno. They had been searching for anyone still alive. For 3 days, they'd seen only death. Burned cars, empty buildings, and creatures that dissolved into ash when they got too close to human fear. Juno whispered, "Why are they gone now? The monsters, I mean. They were everywhere yesterday." Elias looked up at the sky. "Maybe they realized we're not the food they wanted." No one laughed. The group moved down Broadway. The famous street was nothing but rubble and cracked glass. Billboards flickered faintly, running static and broken images of alien symbols. Suddenly, a sound echoed from a nearby alley. A soft hum, almost like a heartbeat. Elias raised his hand. "Hold!" The survivors froze. They followed the sound and found something half buried beneath the concrete. It was a sphere, black, pulsating with faint light, about the size of a human head. The air around it shimmered, bending slightly as if space itself was alive. Elias crouched beside it. "What is that?" Juno asked, her voice shaking. "Alien tech," said the mechanic, eyes wide. "But it's..." breathing. Elias reached out slowly, touching the sphere's surface with the tip of his glove. Instantly, his vision went white. He wasn't standing on Earth anymore. He saw flashes, millions of stars, alien laboratories, strange beings working with machines that pulsed like living hearts. He saw cages filled with screaming creatures made from shadow and light. Then he saw something worse, humans. Humans being tested, connected to strange devices. Their emotions, fear, pain, grief, being harvested. The aliens weren't studying humanity. They were copying it. When Elias pulled his hand away, he fell back, gasping for air. "Commander!" Juno knelt beside him. "What happened?" Elias stared at the sphere. "They didn't create those monsters from nothing," he said slowly. "They made them from us." The others stared at him in silence. Dr. Rana Lee, the team's medic, examined the sphere with a small scanner. "It's alive," she whispered. "It's still receiving signals from orbit. Whatever this is, it's not finished." Suddenly, the air grew colder. The group turned as a soft whisper echoed down the street, like wind carrying voices. Then they saw it. One of the nightmare creatures was crawling across the walls of a nearby building. Its body shimmered like smoke, its eyes bright and hollow. It moved strangely, as if broken, twitching every few steps. Elias raised his weapon. "Hold your fire. Let's see what it does." The creature stopped. It tilted its head, staring directly at them, and then it spoke. A distorted voice came from deep within it, words shaped by static and pain. "We remember you." The team froze. Juno whispered, "It's talking?" The voice continued, broken and trembling. "Made from your fear, your pain. We... Are you?" The creature staggered forward, its body glitching like a dying signal. Elias felt something cold crawl up his spine. This wasn't an invasion. This was something much darker. The aliens hadn't brought their own monsters. They had built these horrors using fragments of human minds, our darkest emotions, our oldest nightmares. And now, Those creations were breaking apart because they couldn't handle the full strength of what it meant to be human. The creature's body began to shake violently. Light poured from its cracks. Then, in one final whisper, it said, "Help us," before exploding into a cloud of black dust that vanished into the wind. Silence filled the street once again. The survivors stared at the empty space where it had stood. Dr. Lee knelt down and picked up a piece of glowing residue from the ground. "This isn't alien material," she said softly. "It's organic." "Almost human," Elias took a deep breath. "They used us to make weapons," he said. "They took what we feared most and turned it into life." Juno frowned. "But why are they dying now?" "Because," Elias said, looking at the sphere still pulsing on the ground, "they don't understand that humans don't break from fear. We survive it." The group looked up at the alien ships floating above. The mist around them was fading. The stars beyond were visible again. Elias felt something inside the sphere pulse once more, a heartbeat matching his own. And then faintly a voice whispered in his mind, "The ones who made us are afraid." He looked up sharply, scanning the sky. But nothing moved. The others were already packing up, preparing to move toward Central Park where other survivors might be hiding. Elias stared one last time at the black sphere before placing it in his pack. Whatever this thing was, it was connected to everything that had happened, and deep down he knew it wasn't over, not even close. The night passed in uneasy silence. No one slept well. Even when the monsters were gone, fear still lingered in the air, heavy, invisible, alive. Commander Elias Ward sat beside a dying campfire, staring at the strange black sphere they had found. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat trapped in stone. Every time he looked at it, he felt something inside his head, whispering. Voices that weren't human, voices that remembered him. He didn't tell the others, not yet. By morning, the survivors reached an underground research bunker near Central Park. It was one of the last working labs on Earth, built for emergencies, powered by an old fusion core. The team entered cautiously. The halls were dusty, filled with the smell of metal and burned air. Inside, Dr. Rana Lee and her assistant started setting up scanners to study the alien sphere. Juno and the others sealed the entrance, placing motion sensors and trip alarms around the base. For the first time in days, they felt almost safe. Elias watched as Dr. Lee placed the black sphere inside a containment chamber. Tiny mechanical arms moved around it, cutting off a fragment of the surface. The screen flickered. Lines of strange alien symbols filled the display. Then static. Then something else appeared. Human DNA, Dr. Lee froze. "That can't be right," she whispered. She ran the test again. Same result. The sphere wasn't fully alien. It carried human genetic material. "What are you saying?" Elias asked quietly. "I'm saying," she said, voice trembling, "this thing, whatever it is, has human blood encoded into its structure." The others gathered around. Juno frowned. "But that doesn't make sense. How would they get human DNA before coming here?" Dr. Lee stared at the screen. "Maybe they didn't come for us," she said. "Maybe they came back for us." Her words sent a chill through everyone. Elias crossed his arms. "Explain." Dr. Lee took a deep breath. She projected the data onto the wall. The image showed patterns of genes mixed with alien code, like a virus wearing a human face. "This isn't just DNA," she said. "It's emotion, memories, pain. Someone, something, copied human emotional patterns centuries ago. The monsters outside, they're not just feeding on fear. They were built from fear. From ours." Silence filled the room. The realization hit everyone like a hammer. The aliens hadn't simply invaded Earth. They had returned to claim what they once created, from humanity itself. Elias felt a deep anger rising inside him. "So, what you're saying," he said slowly, "is that they took our worst nightmares and turned them into weapons?" Dr. Lee nodded. "Exactly. And the strange part? Those weapons are failing. They're dying when exposed to human emotion. It's like they were made with a piece missing. And that peace is our ability to fight back. Before anyone could respond, a loud alarm went off. The motion sensors outside the bunker had detected movement. Elias grabbed his rifle and ran to the viewing monitor. Through a cracked security camera, he saw 3 creatures approaching. But they weren't attacking. They were crawling, slowly, weakly, like dying animals. "Why aren't they coming for us?" Juno asked. Dr. Lee leaned closer to the screen. "They're not hunting," she whispered. "They're suffering." The creatures stopped near the bunker entrance and began clawing at the ground. Symbols appeared in the dirt, strange shapes, alien letters, and one word in English, home. Everyone stared in disbelief. The creatures were trying to communicate. Elias felt his heart pound. "Open the external microphone," Juno hesitated. "Commander, that's risky." "Do it," the speaker crackled. And then a voice, a broken, glitching, half-human voice, came through. "Made from your blood, from your fear. We want to go home." Elias clenched his fists. They were copies, creations born from stolen human emotions, begging for release. Suddenly, one of the creatures screamed. Its body convulsed, cracking with white light. The others followed, howling in pain. Then they dissolved into black dust that floated into the wind. Elias turned away from the screen, jaw tight. "They're dying because they were never meant to exist," Dr. Lee said softly. "They were built on fear, but not hope. Not strength. Without that balance, they can't survive." Elias looked at the sphere glowing faintly inside the containment chamber. "Then that thing is the key," he said. "They used it to create the monsters. Maybe it can tell us how to stop the rest," Dr. Lee nodded. "It's like a control core. If we can decode it, we might find their weakness." Hours passed as they worked. Lines of alien code filled the monitors. Elias watched the screen flicker, then suddenly words formed in English. "You are not the first. You will not be the last. The crown of fear was made from your kind. We took what you buried deep." Dr. Lee stared at the text in horror. "This isn't just data," she whispered. "It's a message." Elias leaned closer. "From who?" Before she could answer, the lights flickered. The entire bunker shook. A deep rumbling echoed from above. The alien ships in the sky were moving again. Elias ran to the window slit, staring at the horizon. The mist was returning, thicker, darker, more violent. Something massive was descending. Dr. Lee looked back at the monitor. The last words appeared on the screen before it shut off completely. "We came for our creation. And for the one who remembers." Elias froze. The voice inside his head whispered again. This time clearer. "You are the key." His blood ran cold. The world was broken, but not quiet. Every city still echoed with distant thunder, the sound of alien ships moving slowly through the clouds. But on the ground, something was changing. In the ruins beneath Central Park, Commander Elias Ward stood beside the cracked alien sphere. It no longer pulsed. It glowed, a steady white light, soft but alive. Dr. Rana Lee stared at it with wide eyes. "It's connected to something. Maybe to us." Elias frowned. "What do you mean, to us?" "Every time it lights up," she said, "your brain waves spike. It reacts to your emotions." Elias looked away. He didn't want to believe it. He was a soldier, not some psychic experiment. But deep down, he already knew she was right. The sphere wasn't just alien tech. It was listening. Outside the bunker, Juno was standing guard. The night air was cold and silent. Then, a faint clicking sound echoed through the streets. She raised her weapon. Out of the shadows crawled one of the nightmare creatures, thin, trembling, its eyes dim. But it didn't attack. It looked weak, dying. Juno took a cautious step forward. The creature hissed softly. Its voice was broken, filled with static, pain, fire. "Inside you," it whispered. She froze. "What?" It lifted one shaking hand toward her. "Fear burns us." And then, before she could move, the creature lunged. Juno screamed and fired. The bullet hit, but instead of blood, light burst out. The creature collapsed, burning from the inside out until only dust remained. Her heart pounded. She looked at her hands, still shaking. Then she saw something strange. Where the creature's ashes had fallen, the ground was cracked, as if heat had burned through concrete. She ran back to the bunker. "Commander! You need to see this!" Minutes later, the team stood where the monster had died. Dr. Lee scanned the ground. "It's like the creature exploded from emotional energy," she said quietly. "Not from bullets." Juno shook her head. "It wasn't me. I was just scared." Elias stared at her. "Exactly." The doctor turned toward him. "What are you thinking?" Elias looked at the horizon, his voice calm but cold. "They said these monsters feed on fear. But maybe human fear isn't just food. Maybe it's a weapon." Dr. Lee's scanner beeped again. She checked the readings, her eyes widened. Her adrenaline, her brain activity, it's off the charts. Juno's fear isn't draining her. It's amplifying. Elias looked down at his hands. "If that's true, then we're not prey anymore." Later that night, the team tested the theory. Elias stood in front of the sphere. Juno, Dr. Lee, and the others watched from behind protective glass. "Focus," Dr. Lee said through the intercom. "Try to remember the moment you felt the most fear. But don't run from it." Elias closed his eyes. He remembered the wars, the screams, the soldiers who never came home. He remembered watching the sky break open. Fear filled his chest, but he didn't push it away. He accepted it. The sphere began to glow brighter. Energy surged around it, humming through the bunker walls. Monitors flickered, lights dimmed, and the air grew heavy. Then the sphere released a wave of energy, silent but powerful. Everyone felt it. Outside, a nearby creature screamed. Its body ignited in white fire before it could even move. Juno gasped. "It's working!" Dr. Lee stared at her data. "It's more than working." The energy amplified through his emotion. It's spreading outward. Elias opened his eyes. The glow faded slowly from the sphere. He was sweating, breathing hard but alive. "What was that?" he asked. Dr. Lee smiled faintly. "That, Commander, was humanity fighting back." By dawn, the survivors across the city began to notice it too. People who were once helpless now saw the monsters hesitate. When they stood together, when they refused to run, the creatures screamed and turned to ash. The news spread through broken radios and old military channels. Some survivors started to believe that fear itself had changed, that it was no longer their weakness, but their shield. Elias broadcast a message through one of the working transmitters. "To anyone still alive, don't hide your fear. Stand your ground. The monsters can't take what you own. Remember this, fear doesn't make us weak. It makes us human." The signal reached far beyond the city. Voices began to answer back. Soldiers in Europe, survivors in Asia, small groups from every continent. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth sounded alive. But far above, the alien commanders were watching. They saw their army of nightmares dying faster than they could create replacements. They analyzed human emotion and could not understand it. On board the largest ship, a deep voice echoed through the command chamber. "Fear has reversed. The energy burns instead of feeds." Another replied, "It should be impossible. Fear is universal." A third voice spoke, colder than the rest. "Not on that planet. Their fear is corrupted, mixed with defiance." They stared at the hologram of Earth, now pulsing faintly with waves of psychic energy. The human emotional field was spreading, and deep in the alien archives, an ancient record glowed red. Experiment 17. Human emotion, terminated, unstable, do not reawaken. Back on Earth, Elias and his team stood together, looking at the sunrise. The city was quiet, but not dead. They had survived another night. Dr. Lee approached him, holding her tablet. "There's something you should see," she said. "The energy readings from the sphere, they're getting stronger each time you use it. It's connecting to others." Elias frowned. "Others?" "Yes," she said softly. "There are more of these spheres buried across the planet. Someone placed them here long ago." Elias stared at the sky. So this wasn't random. This invasion, this entire nightmare, was something far older than the aliens themselves. For 3 days, the skies above Earth were silent. No attacks, no movement. Just a cold, glowing line across the clouds, a strange light that never faded. Commander Elias Ward knew that silence meant danger. Every time the enemy went quiet, something worse came next. Dr. Rana Lee studied the readings from the alien sphere. "It's spreading faster than we expected," she said. "Whatever this energy is, it's waking up others around the world." "How many?" Elias asked. 17 so far," she said. "But that number changes every hour." Juno leaned against the wall, exhausted but alert. "So we're winning, right?" Dr. Lee hesitated. "Not exactly. The aliens stopped sending their creatures, yes, but that doesn't mean they've given up. They're studying us. Watching." Elias frowned. "Watching from where?" Before she could answer, the ground shook. A deep rumble spread through the city like a heartbeat. Everyone ran outside. In the morning light, they saw it. Dozens of new shapes were descending from orbit. Not ships, not monsters. Eyes, giant metallic eyes, floating in the atmosphere. Each the size of a building, wrapped in glowing symbols. They hovered silently above cities, oceans, and deserts, watching everything that moved. Juno whispered, "What are those?" Dr. Lee's voice trembled. "Observation drones?" "But not just for watching. They're scanning emotion." Elias clenched his jaw. "You mean—" "Yes," she said. "They're trying to erase fear. To drain us." The alien fleet had realized something horrifying. If they couldn't destroy humanity's fear, they would silence it. Within hours, the eyes began emitting waves, low, pulsing tones that rolled across entire continents. People stopped dreaming. Their hearts slowed. Their emotions faded. In the streets, survivors began to lose the spark that kept them alive. They stopped fighting, stopped talking, just stood still, staring blankly at the sky. Juno shook one of them, a young boy no older than 10. "Hey, look at me! You're okay, kid!" But his eyes were empty. No fear, no sadness, nothing. Elias turned to Dr. Lee. "How do we stop this?" She bit her lip. "I don't know. But the energy from your sphere, it resists the signal. It's like a shield." "Then we need more," Elias said firmly. "Find the other spheres." They gathered what was left of their team and headed north. Their destination, an old research station buried under ice in Greenland, one of the locations where another sphere had activated. The journey was brutal. Cold winds tore through the air. The drones above followed them constantly, silent and unblinking. At night, they could see the beams, thin streams of light connecting the eyes together like a web around Earth. Juno whispered, "They're building something, look." High above, at the center of the glowing web, a single colossal eye was forming. It dwarfed the others, its lens larger than a mountain. Dr. Lee's face went pale. "If that activates, it'll erase everything. Every thought, every feeling." Elias said nothing. He looked at the stars above and made a silent promise. If this was humanity's last stand, he'd make sure the universe never forgot who they were. By the time they reached the frozen base, half their radios had stopped working. The snow glowed faintly blue under the light of the drones. They found the sphere deep underground, frozen, cracked, and pulsing weakly. Dr. Lee wiped the frost off its surface. "It's dying." "The eye network is draining it." Elias stepped forward and placed his hand on it. "Then we give it life." The sphere flickered. He closed his eyes, letting the memories come, the fear of losing everything, the anger at what the aliens had done, the grief for everyone already gone. The light grew brighter. Dr. Lee's instruments screamed as energy surged through the ice. Outside, the drones reacted instantly. Their lights turned red. The hum of their signal faltered. "Commander!" Juno shouted. "They're converging on us!" Elias didn't move. The sphere was glowing now, so bright that the walls themselves started to melt. He whispered, "Come on. Wake up." Then, with a sound like a heartbeat, the light exploded. A massive shockwave rippled through the sky. Every drone within 1,000 miles shut down. The air itself seemed to breathe again. Elias fell to his knees, barely conscious. Dr. Lee ran to him. "You did it." "The signal's collapsing." He smiled weakly. "Not just me. The others will feel it. They'll wake up," and he was right. Across the world, survivors began to stir. Eyes that were once empty now filled with emotion again, fear, hope, and fury. Humanity was coming back to life. Far above, in the command vessel, The alien overseers panicked. "Energy interference spreading across network," one hissed. "Human resistance adapting too fast," said another. The leader, tall, armored, and ancient, spoke in a low voice. "The eyes have failed. The emotional field cannot be purged. Their fear is not weakness, it is creation," another voice whispered, trembling. "Then what do we do, Commander?" The leader turned toward the massive eye still forming in orbit. "We finish it. Prepare the mind net. If we cannot erase their fear, we will overwrite their minds." Back on Earth, the survivors began to gather. From New York to Tokyo, from the deserts of Africa to the ruins of Moscow, people lit fires and raised old transmitters. They had no armies, no governments, but they had each other. Elias's message echoed again across every surviving channel. "They think fear makes us weak. They're wrong. Fear is proof we still feel, proof we still fight. The eyes are watching, but so are we." Dr. Lee approached him quietly. "There's something else," she said. "That pulse you sent, it wasn't local. It came from underground, deep beneath the planet." Elias looked at her, eyes narrowing. "Then maybe Earth isn't just our home," he said. "Maybe it's part of something bigger." The pulse that erupted from Greenland didn't just disable the alien drones. It went deeper, through rock, through oceans, through the very bones of the planet. At first, no one understood what was happening. Seismic sensors lit up across every continent. The Earth itself seemed to be breathing. Commander Elias Ward stood at the edge of a frozen cliff, watching the aurora shimmer overhead. Dr. Rana Lee stood beside him, staring at the readings on her portable scanner. "These aren't earthquakes," she said softly. "It's a signal," Elias frowned. "From where?" She looked up at him. "From below. Something's waking up under the crust." Half a world away, deep under the ruins of what used to be Tokyo, the survivors in the underground shelter heard it too. A low, rhythmic hum, like a heartbeat, echoed through the tunnels. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. Juno's voice crackled over the radio. "Commander, every base is reporting the same thing. The ground's vibrating in patterns, like language." Elias turned toward Dr. Lee. "Can you decode it?" She nodded slowly, eyes locked on her device. "It's primitive. But, yes, it's not alien. It's human." The commander's face tightened. "You're saying something human is under the planet?" "Not human," she whispered, "but made by them. Centuries ago, long before the first satellites reached space, before humanity even knew there were others out there, something had been buried deep inside Earth. A defense system, ancient, biological, and forgotten. And now, it was responding. The energy from the alien spheres, the same kind the fleet had tried to harness, had triggered it. It was never meant to attack. It was meant to protect. The next night, a violent storm tore across the northern hemisphere. Thunder rolled like cannon fire, and lightning struck in perfect rhythm with the Earth's pulse. Inside the command bunker, Dr. Lee watched as patterns formed on her screen, circles within circles, glowing brighter with every tremor. "It's forming a network," she said. "A living one. The planet's energy lines, they're aligning." Elias leaned closer. "What does that mean for us?" She hesitated. "If we follow it, it might lead us to the source, the heart." Juno laughed nervously. "The heart of the planet? You make it sound alive." Dr. Lee didn't answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on the flickering symbols. "Maybe it is." Meanwhile, far above Earth, the alien fleet gathered near the shadow of the moon. Their superweapon, the mind net, was nearly ready. The alien commander watched the screens, his pale eyes reflecting the shape of the glowing planet below. "Report," he said. A scientist bowed. "Energy anomalies spreading from multiple points. Origin planetary core. Cause unknown. But readings resemble thought patterns." The commander's jaw tightened. "Then the humans are not fighting alone," he said darkly. "Their world fights with them." Back on Earth, Elias and his team began the descent. They traveled through ancient tunnels beneath the ice, passages that no one had built, yet felt carved by intelligent hands. As they went deeper, the air changed. The walls shimmered faintly with light, pulsing with every beat of the Earth's core. It was as if the planet itself was guiding them. Juno whispered, "Feels like we're walking through veins." Dr. Lee nodded. "That's exactly what they are." They reached a massive chamber, so vast it seemed to have no end. At its center was a sphere larger than any before, suspended in mid-air, glowing with blinding blue light. Dr. Lee stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "This is it. The heart." Elias approached slowly. "Can it help us?" She placed a hand on its surface. Instantly, the sphere reacted, flashes of light racing through its veins, images flickering inside it. Elias saw memories, not his own, but of the planet. Human cities rising, wars ending, the first rockets leaving Earth, and something else, a warning. A voice echoed inside his mind. "You were made to feel. That is your power. They feared your creation, so they came to silence it. But fear, pain, love, all feed the fire of existence." Elias gasped, pulling back. "It's alive," Dr. Lee nodded. "It's sentient. It's been waiting for us." The heart pulsed again, stronger this time. The vibrations spread outward, racing through the crust, through the oceans, into the atmosphere. The drones orbiting above Earth began to flicker and die. In space, the alien commander slammed his hand on the console. "Impossible. The energy readings are rising beyond prediction. Sir, the mind net cannot stabilize," one of the officers shouted. The massive eye above Earth began to crack. "The power of the planet's pulse was tearing through their weapon systems. What is this?" the commander roared. Another officer whispered fearfully, "The planet. It's defending itself." Back underground, the heart opened. A stream of glowing energy shot upward, piercing the crust, lighting the night sky with a beam of white fire. For the first time in days, the clouds cleared, and Earth's true colors shone through. Dr. Lee stared at it in awe. "It's syncing with human emotion," she said. "Every person who's still fighting, every mind that refuses to give up, it's channeling that." Elias looked upward. "Then we're not alone anymore." The mind net shattered. A shockwave of blinding light rippled through space, tearing holes in the alien formation. Ships exploded like dying stars. The commander watched as his fleet disintegrated around him. He turned to his crew, voice filled with dread. "They are not a species," he whispered. "They are a storm." Then his ship vanished into fire. On Earth, as the skies calmed, the survivors looked up. For the first time, there were no drones, no monsters, no fear. But deep under the planet, the heart still pulsed. Slow, powerful, a warning that it wasn't over. Dr. Lee turned to Elias. "It's quiet now," she said softly. "But something tells me this was only the first awakening." He nodded slowly. "Then we'd better be ready. Because if Earth has a mind, it also has memories, and whatever it remembers might not be kind." The stars were quiet again. No ships, no drones, no screams from the sky. For the first time in weeks, Earth was still. But that stillness carried a strange weight, like the calm before a storm that had not yet arrived. Commander Elias Ward stood at the highest point of the new resistance camp, looking out over the rebuilding city. Fires still burned in the distance, but people were working again. Children laughed faintly in the streets. It should have been peace. It felt like peace. But deep down he knew better. Dr. Rana Lee joined him, holding her small scanner. "The heart's still pulsing," she said quietly. Slower but steady, like it's waiting for something. Elias nodded. "Maybe it knows what's coming." She looked up. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, the sky shimmered. It started as a faint ripple, like light bending in water. Then, the stars themselves seemed to twist, reshaping into strange, geometric symbols. And out of the void they arrived. No ships, no metal, just shapes of light, massive, radiant structures descending silently through the atmosphere. Each one pulsed with color and sound that no human language could describe. Dr. Lee's scanner overloaded instantly. What is that?" she whispered. Juno, standing nearby, stared up in awe. "Are they more aliens?" Elias's voice was low. "No. They're older." The shapes slowed, hovering above Earth's clouds like gods returning to their temple. A voice, not spoken but heard in every human mind, echoed across the planet. Children of the lost flame, you have awakened what was buried. The world froze. People dropped their tools. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Everyone could hear it. Dr. Lee pressed her hands to her head. It's telepathic, broadcasting directly into our consciousness, the voice continued. We are the architects, the builders of worlds, the makers of the heart. You were not meant to wake it yet. Elias took a step forward as if facing the sky itself. Then why did you bury it on our world? He demanded. For a moment, silence. Then came the answer. Because long ago, this world was ours. Dr. Lee froze. What did it say? Elias's eyes widened. They're not just visitors. They're the ones who made Earth. The voice returned, layered with 1,000 tones, some kind, some filled with sorrow. Your species was our last creation. We built you in the ashes of a fallen war, to feel, to adapt, to endure. We gave you the gift we lost, emotion. The others, the ones who attacked you, were our mistakes, Dr. Lee whispered, horrified. The aliens, the ones who sent the monsters, they were made by these beings? Yes, the voice said. They were built without emotion, without fear, without love. We thought perfection meant peace. We were wrong. When they rebelled, we sealed the heart within your world, to sleep until you were ready. Elias clenched his fists. Ready for what? To finish what we could not. The sky changed again. The shapes of light began to shift, revealing vast shadows behind them, distant figures moving through space, approaching fast. Dr. Lee's face turned pale. Those aren't stars. That's an army. The voice of the architects darkened. The fallen return. The pure ones. The soulless. They come to destroy what you have awakened. They come to end all feeling. Elias looked to the horizon where streaks of fire began cutting through the sky. Dozens, then hundreds. Alien ships. The same kind that had attacked before, but larger. Stronger. They're coming back, Juno whispered. And this time, they're bringing everything. Dr. Lee turned to Elias. What do? We can't fight both of them! Elias stared up at the glowing structures of the architects, their light reflecting in his eyes. Then we make them fight each other, the voice responded immediately, as if reading his thoughts. We cannot interfere. The heart belongs to you now. Its power responds to your kind alone. Elias's heart pounded. Then help us unlock it. If you created it for us, tell us how to use it. There was a pause, and then the world trembled. To use the heart, the voice said slowly, is to face your deepest memory. Your species must choose not to destroy, but to understand. Emotion creates. Emotion destroys. The choice will decide your survival. The light began to fade. The architects were leaving. Wait! Elias shouted. Don't abandon us now. We do not abandon, the voice whispered. We observe. If you live, you will no longer be our creation. You will be our successors. And with that, the shapes vanished, melting into the stars like smoke. The world went silent once more. But above the atmosphere, space burned with light. The soulless fleet had arrived. Millions of ships, forming a black halo around Earth. Elias turned to Dr. Lee. They're coming to erase us. To erase feeling, she nodded grimly. Then it's time humanity showed them what feeling really means. The heart beneath the planet began to pulse again. Faster this time, matching the rhythm of billions of human hearts across the world. And deep underground, the voice of the heart whispered into Elias's mind, they made you to feel. Now feel everything. The skies burned again. Not with fire this time, but with light. Billions of humans looked upward as the stars shimmered and the alien armada blotted out the heavens. The soulless had arrived. Their ships stretched across the atmosphere like a living shadow, their dark energy draining the color from the world below. Every screen on Earth flickered to life, showing the same message, symbols no one could read, yet everyone understood. It was a declaration of erasure. The soulless had come to end everything that felt, dreamed, or loved. But this time, humanity wasn't afraid, because the planet itself was awake. Deep beneath the crust, The heart pulsed like a colossal engine. Each beat shook mountains and sent ripples through the oceans, and every human, from the youngest child to the oldest survivor, felt it inside them. Their emotions, fear, pain, love, rage, all flowed into the planet. Commander Elias Ward stood in the control chamber with Dr. Rana Lee and Juno, staring at the glowing fissures in the ground. "The heart's energy is climbing fast," Dr. Lee said. "If it keeps rising, we won't be able to contain it." Elias didn't look away from the light. "We're not supposed to contain it," he said quietly. "We're supposed to become it," Dr. Lee blinked. "What?" Elias turned to her. "The architects said it responds to emotion, not power. Not technology, emotion. What if the only way to win isn't to fight, but to feel harder than they can comprehend?" Juno frowned. "You want to fight an army with feelings?" "Not just feelings," Elias said. "Everything we are. Above them, the soulless opened fire." Hundreds of beams of black energy struck Earth's atmosphere, but instead of burning through, they stopped mid-air. The sky rippled like a liquid mirror. A barrier of shimmering light appeared, alive, moving, reflecting every color of human emotion. The soulless hesitated. Their sensors screamed in confusion. No physical shield could stop that much energy. But this one wasn't physical. It was will. In orbit, the alien commanders watched as their weapons failed. Their language was mechanical, emotionless. "Resistance impossible," one said. "Energy readings incompatible," another replied, the leader hissed. "They are becoming unstable. Their feelings are merging with the planetary core. Contain it before the infection spreads." On Earth, the air grew heavy with light. Dr. Lee dropped to her knees, her body trembling. "It's connecting to us," she gasped. To everyone. Across the world, people felt the same thing. Their memories, their grief, their joy, all linked together. The lines between individuals began to blur. Humanity was no longer billions of separate minds. It was one vast consciousness, one storm of feeling, and at the center of it, Elias heard the voice of the heart. They erased their feelings to escape pain. You embraced pain to become strong. Now show them what that means. Elias raised his hands and the ground trembled. Mountains shifted. Oceans glowed. The barrier around Earth thickened, and from within it shapes began to form. Gigantic silhouettes made of pure light, human in form, but each one towering like a god. They rose from the surface, walking into the void above. The soulless fleet opened fire again, but the blasts passed harmlessly through the glowing figures. Elias whispered, "Let's end this." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The soulless ships swarmed like a tidal wave, firing relentlessly. But the light forms, manifestations of human will, struck back, not with weapons, but with bursts of emotional energy. When one struck, it wasn't destruction. It was revelation. The soulless felt fear for the first time. The feeling shattered their unity. Dr. Lee's voice echoed through the link. "They can't handle it. Their systems aren't built for emotion. They're breaking apart." Ships collided. Others simply disintegrated as their own emptiness consumed them. One by one, the soulless fell. In the command ship, the alien leader screamed as the light flooded the control room. "Impossible. Emotion is chaos. Emotion destroys." Elias's voice answered, not from any device, but from the space around him. "No, emotion creates. That's what you forgot." The leader reached out, desperate. "What are you?" Elias's reply was calm, almost kind. "Human." And with that, the soulless ship dissolved into light. The battle ended with silence. The black clouds vanished. The alien fleet was gone. Only the shimmering glow of the heart remained. Calm, steady, peaceful. Slowly, the energy faded, returning to the planet's core. The human figures of light dissolved into the air. People awoke on the surface, dazed, crying, alive. Dr. Lee stood beside Elias on a quiet ridge. The dawn was rising again, warm and golden. "Is it over?" she asked softly. Elias watched the horizon. "For now," he said. "But the architects—" "They'll know what we did," she smiled faintly. Do you think they'll be proud? He shook his head. I think they'll be scared. Far above, in the distant stars, the architects observed in silence. Their creations had surpassed them. Humanity had taken emotion, the thing they once called a flaw, and turned it into the universe's most powerful weapon. They have learned, one architect whispered. Yes, another replied. They have become what we could not. And far below, the heart of Earth pulsed once more, slow and gentle. Not as a weapon, but as a heartbeat, the heartbeat of a species that had refused extinction and become something greater than gods.